Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back again. Can you believe I tell you 2023 is flying by? We're now in third quarter. I tell you, each and every day goes by fast. But the thing is, in business, that's what makes it fun, because each day you're kind of scaling your business up to what you want it to be. And remember, we started last quarter talking about what I call the 6P business owner formula. And that was about people, promotion, pricing, productivity, profit, and processes. And I'm bringing you different guests on each week to help you in those areas. And this week, I know I've got a guest that will do that again for us. And Herb's with us today, but he's first going to share with us, what problem will you help our listeners solve, Herb?
Yeah, hi, Gary. Great to be with you and your listeners here. For me, I help business owners that are looking to scale impact, reduce drama, and unleash the potential of their people in their company.
I love this. This is going to be a great conversation because it's about scaling our businesses. But the problem is, most people feel that when they scale their business, that's just going to create more challenges and more headaches. So we're going to love this conversation. Herb Cogliano is with us today, and he leads his own advisory practice, leveraging the Scaling Up performance platform, described in Verne Harnish's award-winning book, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits-Scaling Up. As a business coach, experienced CEO, Scaling Up Practitioner, and professor of the Scaling Up Master's Business Course, he has learned firsthand what it takes to overcome many business challenges. Herb, it is great to have you on the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
It is my pleasure, and I look forward to a great discussion.
Well, let's start off right with what you talked about, because I think this hits the nerves with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. Over the last several years, things have changed, and business world is changing. The world is changing. So how does that entrepreneur or business owner have a thriving business that really reflects their purpose and values of what they want to get out of it?
Yeah, I think from the beginning, we all have this dream of why we opened our business. Maybe we had a certain skill set, maybe a yearning to help a certain group of people with our product or service. We get to work, we're having fun, and guess what happens, Gary? We start to grow.
Yeah.
And all this work starts to be paying off. But then something else happens. Complexity comes in, more employees, more client types, more locations, more product offerings. And the complexity creates drama for the business owner. What began like a beautiful dream, for some can turn into a nightmare. And I've seen owners fall out of love with their company for one simple reason: they haven't been taught how to navigate the different levels and complexities that go with each stage of growth. And as you can help people see that and deal with it effectively, they enjoy their business and their journey so much more.
Yeah, I think that becomes a real key because, normally how people get in business, they were very good at making widgets, selling widgets, or had this creative thought of what they wanted to do. And like you said, you start very small. I mean, my first operation, there was 2 of us, and we grew it to 150 people. And I'm telling you, it's totally different with 2 than it is 150.
Yes.
When your bed hits that pillow at night, there's a lot bigger payroll to hit at 150 every 2 weeks. So let's talk a little bit about those different areas, if you don't mind, and kind of share with us what you see there. And I know in the book Scaling Up, they kind of share those practices. Can you share a little bit about that, if you would, Herb?
Yeah, I want to give a little background
Sure.
first, because scaling may not be for everybody. If you
Right.
look at some of the data, there's about 32 million companies in the United States. Gary, did you know that only about 4 to 5% ever make 1 million or more revenue per year?
I did not know that. 4 to
But what was
5% make $1 million.
only 4 to 5%. The rest are lifestyle companies, practitioners, which is wonderful. But to get to that next level isn't for everyone. But what I find about the ones that do, and here's the next stat, only a half of 1% of the 32 million ever make it to only 10 million in revenue or more.
Wow. I did
So
not know that.
there's some stages that we have to understand. The first one, it deals with scalable leadership. You run your company, you have direct relationships with the 5, 8, 12 people you employ, but now you have 20 to 25. And you can't directly manage each one, and yet you haven't developed that next level of leadership to delegate and predict and share your message. You then have scalable infrastructure issues where the org chart, decision-making, communication rhythm breaks down, causing drama. And then the third one, Gary, you highlighted in the beginning, changing market dynamics. You had a great product, everybody was calling you, but now competition's coming in, technology is diminishing the value that you were providing, pricing gets commoditized, but you don't pivot and you stick with that original idea, and it ends up hurting your company. So scalable leadership, scalable infrastructure, the ability to navigate changing market dynamics are the three biggest barriers I see owners have getting to the next level.
Yeah, I see that too. Kind of interesting. We just was on a mastermind this week, and our group was talking about this scalable leadership because, one thing business owners, entrepreneurs a lot of times do is they're such self-starters themselves, they think everyone else will be. And we've got to make sure we've got the systems in place that they're accountable and that those same things can happen, because otherwise you can't grow for your company if you want to scale that company in that area. So what would be some of those areas that you would challenge them when you think about leadership to be thinking about, to be able to get those right people in the seats that can help them take the business to the next level?
Yeah, I look at three core things for great leaders. Number one, the ability to repeat. You have a set of values, core values, you have a set of purpose, and the ability to repeat that. It's like raising children.
Mm-hmm.
You have things in your home that are really important to you, and yet each night, each year, we're repeating, say please and thank you. Did you do your homework? Did you clean your room? But these are important for your home and your family to be well. The same thing happens in a company. Do you know your values? Do you know your purpose? And are you repeating it over and over, but maybe in different ways? Second thing is the ability to delegate. How many times have you heard managers say, it's easier for me to do it myself, because they don't have the patience in the insight to coach up the people versus being more efficient, trying to do it on their own. And doing it on your own is not scalable.
Right.
And that's why that is important. The third thing is the ability to predict. Can you look at the data in your company, the key operating metrics, KPIs, and by looking at the trends and analyzing what's happening in the business, can you see around corners and predict sales pipelines, employee retention, client satisfaction levels? Because you can look at the data and you can analyze and interpret, and leadership needs to be able to do that to be effective.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's a key component. The other ones are just as important, of infrastructure and market dynamics. But if you don't get that leadership right, especially today, the workforce, it's tough finding good people. And the way you're going to have to find those good people is having leaders that's giving them the purpose, the values, and them leading those. We had that discussion around the room, and yes, you may have to pay a little more for that, but
Yes.
that allows you time then to do what you do best as that entrepreneur and business owner. You kind of brought up an interesting part that I really wanted to key in on and talk about also, because I think when you're scaling up, it's one of the things people have to think about is those key operating metrics. And one of those big key operating metrics that really hurts companies when they start to scale up is that cash flow and profits. So could we talk a little bit about ways that you see that they can improve that cash flow and profits in their business? Because that becomes crucial when you're scaling up, because otherwise you can really, as fast as you can go up, the balloon goes up, as they say, it can come down if you don't have that cash flow and profits coming in.
Yeah. So Gary, we want our business owners and their leadership team to look at seven simple but very effective levers to move their business. And it will help you increase cash flow. It will help you increase profit, and ultimately increase the valuation of your business. The first one is the price lever. Have you looked at your pricing? Has it been updated? Are you looking at a pricing strategy, whether it's dynamic pricing, dual pricing, bundled, unbundled? Today, I don't know about you, but there wasn't a course when I was in school on pricing. There was a course on accounting, marketing, operations, but pricing is really important today, and it's a key lever that we need to get more educated about as a business leader. Number two.
Can I jump in there real quick, Herb,
Yeah.
before you go to number two? The one thing I want to tell business owner entrepreneurs here, the last 18 months with inflation, if you've not looked at this number and you've not done anything on this, you're going backwards. So it's critical all the time. But these last 18 months, we've had a huge increase. I mean, to find people, to get people, and your product, your services had the increase. So make sure you look at that price lever. Sorry, but I wanted to share that because it's so crucial right now for sure. And it's always crucial, but now the last 18 months, it's been a big thing, because if not, you're not making as much money.
Yeah. I know a year ago, price increase was happening everywhere. I think companies now, you're definitely coming late to the party, and they're more sensitive to it, and they may not accept it. But the biggest thing I see in leadership is that a lot of leaders have a cost plus pricing mentality, and we want to educate our teams to be value-based pricing.
Right.
And that's a different mindset in education. The second lever is volume. So we have price, we have volume. Not all volume is good. We have a software we use, the cash flow, the power of one software. And it shows you the power. If we increased all the 7 levers I'm going to talk about by only 1% in the right direction, what the overall difference is phenomenal. But what we learned is in some companies with lower margin, but higher overhead, increasing volume hurts you.
Right.
You know, the grow broke adage. So we need to be very sensitive between the levers. Let me finish the 7, Gary, and then
Sure.
I'll let you ask me questions. So we have price, we have volume, we have cost of goods reduction, we have overhead reduction, we have reduction in AR days, we have reduction in inventory stock days, we have an increase in accounts payable days. Those 7 things moved in the right direction can have an amazing impact. And what I learned through our analysis, the levers in the impact is different for each company's financial picture.
Yeah.
Not one size fits all. You need to do the homework. And I had a client say, well, what if I increase price 3%? I'm afraid I'm going to lose a lot of business. And I said, let's run that number. Let's increase it 3%. I found out it was 3% increase in price was $250,000 more in profit. I said, now how much business you think you'd lose? Oh my God, I'm gonna lose 30%. I put in 30% based upon his volume. It would take him losing 50% of his business to equal the 3% increase in that particular example. Now, he did the price increase. Guess what percent of volume he lost?
Probably less than 1%.
2%. So he got $150,000 bump in a 2% volume, which was the type of clients that were so discount oriented. He didn't want them anyway at the end of the day. But I get it. I've been through that. You get nervous and anxious, but we do the math first. You got to do the research before you make big moves like this on your company.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference because versus guessing, and that's what you're taking away from it. So I recommend anyone, and we're going to give you your information later to check out, to be able to check that out, because that's what's so great about the Scaling Up program that allows you there. Let's talk about one last thing. I love the levers and stuff. Appreciate you sharing that, but I think it fits right with the lever. Is how do you deal with kind of that number one constraint to scaling? And in your research and your work that you do, Herb, what is that number one constraint for people in scaling?
So when I talked about the barriers, the first barrier was not having developed leaders to help you grow the company. I think that's a big deal in a constraint to truly scaling. So you have to ask yourself as an owner, I've been really good at building my company because I know how to grow sales, I know how to treat clients, I know how to deliver. But what a lot of them can't tell you is that they've had a lot of experience developing and growing other leaders.
Yes.
I think the biggest wake-up call, Gary, I got in scaling our company, my mindset pivot from growing the company revenue sales clients to growing the senior leadership team being my number one job. And their number one job was growing our business and our clients. And when my mindset shifted to be developing and nurturing and growing and picking the right leadership team, the rest of the business took off.
Well, that makes real good sense to me, because what I've seen too is, and I think one of the things that has to happen in that is that leader, that business owner, entrepreneur themselves have to train theirself more. They have to get to the point of Because what happens sometimes is they say, well, I'm at this level. I don't know how to do that. Well, you can get resources, and you need to be part of those training classes and that leadership, because just like hiring good people, that is a trait, a skill that you can learn on how to hire better. Because I think a lot of business owners hire on emotion versus on skill set. And then they're wondering why they're not getting the best people that's there. So I think that's wonderful. I appreciate you sharing that, Herb. In your research and just things that you've seen with scaling up, and just kind of give us maybe kind of from your viewpoint, you've given the levers and everything else. What is one thing, if you were listening to this podcast and you're a business owner and you've been one and you still are, but what would you tell people? What is the one thing you would tell them to start to do right now to be able to get started from our conversation that we've had?
You know what? And I'm going to tell you, it's exactly what somebody did for me back in late 2002. They handed me a copy of the Scaling Up book. I had no idea who Verne Harnish was. I had no idea what Scaling Up was, but I started to learn that there was a different way to approach building a business. We were smart, we worked hard, we knew our industry. I figured that's all I needed to know. But what I was missing is how to navigate the different levels and stages of growth. And we have 4 decisions, Gary, that we really focus on with entrepreneurial owners and teams. Number 1, if you're feeling drama in your company, you have people decisions that you need to make differently, whether it's hiring an employee, identifying the right type of customer to work with, or the right supplier that you want to have dealings with. Drama is normally around making bad people decisions. Strategy, if your business is not growing and your margins growing, or at least keeping pace with the industry growth rate, you're losing market share, and your strategy decisions need to be evolved. And then the third one is, have you ever heard of the owner that's working 60 hours a week, but making little to no money for it?
Oh, yeah.
There's something to do with execution decisions that are off. And then finally, I used to think cash was about, can I make payroll? Can I keep the lights on? But what I learned was I was missing out on opportunity, because a great executive was available that I always wanted to have work in our company, but I couldn't afford them. Or an acquisition comes across my desk of a company I always wanted to tuck in, but now I don't have the capital. So it's understanding how to build and balance those 4 decision-making things. And we use simple tools to educate our team how to make better decisions in those areas. And over time, you will start to see your business grow with less drama and more profitability. And most of the journeys that I've been on, it is not a quick fix. Tomorrow it's going to happen. It's a 12 to 36 months adoption program for your culture to start getting reinforced, for your strategy to start taking hold, for your people to be executing and consistent, and also putting a little cash in reserve and in the owner's pocket who takes all the risk. Those things over time, it's an amazing journey to be on.
Wow. I appreciate
let me finish with one thing. I had a dear friend that I was talking with in the beginning, and they had fallen out of love with their company. They were actually going to sell it. They called brokers. Look, I've had enough. The people, the drama. I said, do me a favor. Can you wait 6 months? I want to just introduce you to a different way of thinking. He's a very bright guy. He took the ball. He started to run with it. He didn't sell his business. he brought in another partner. He's now going to double or triple in it and has never been more in love with this business than any time in his career. So it can happen. And I wish that for every other entrepreneur out there that they find it.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Herb, because I think that's so critical that people hear that they can find that. But the thing is they've got to get out of their self, out of the day-to-day, and truly operating their business, because that's what truly scaling up is. If you're in some of them smaller numbers, it's going to be harder. But if you truly want to scale your business up, then you can hire better people. You can get good leaders that's going to help you on the track of scaling your company up. But sometimes we need a process. So get the book, Scaling Up. We'll have that in show notes, of course, but also check out Herb's website. It's aspiregrowthadvisors.com. He's got a lot of great resources on there, a lot of great information. So please go to that, because maybe you're at that stage that you're looking and you need that. And if you're ready to make the move, then somebody can help walk you along with it. And I love the process that you use, because it's a proven process too. It's not something that just, you came up with. It's a proven process that's out there. So Herb, before we let you go though, I want to ask you one more question. And I ask every guest that comes on the podcast this question, and it's, what would be your best business advice or tip that you would give the business owners and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, Gary, I want every business owner to be running their business versus the business running them. You have this vision, and we want to help you get it out of your mind, shared with your leadership team, and help the entire company bring it to life. And if we can do that, then you're going to have a wonderful business life and experience. You're going to give great things to your employees and your clients, and you're going to be a valuable asset to each of the communities that you live and serve. That to me is, I think, ideally scaling up the right way.
Yeah, I agree, Herb, and I appreciate you sharing that. And again, we thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Check out Herb's website, aspiregrowthadvisors.com. He's also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and we'll have all that in show notes at how you can link up to Herb if you want to contact him, but some great resources on the website. So I can't thank you enough for sharing with our business owners and entrepreneurs on the Small Business Answer Man podcast.
Gary, for those that are interested, we do a scaling up readiness assessment. So if you want to see truly how ready your business is to scale, send me a note, let me know, and I'd love to provide that to you complimentary. And wishing all your subscribers all the best for a great summer. I know it's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to get out and get to the beach.
That's right. Let's enjoy it while we can, and let's enjoy our business. That's why we're in it. Instead of letting it be a drag, why don't get that free consultation that Herb just offered? It's not going to cost you anything. It's going to just take a little bit of time. It may be the one breakthrough that you need. So I appreciate you sharing that with the listeners, Herb, and I truly appreciate having you on. So I always give you an action item when we leave. If you think about it, we kind of covered all 6 P of the business owner formula that I talked about here. But the key is you need to ask yourself this question: are you in or are you out? As a business owner, you need to answer yourself that question. We want you, Herb and I want you to be in, because we need entrepreneurs, we need business owners, we need small businesses. But you have to make that choice. But the thing is, if you are in, then what are you going to do differently to scale your business, to make it easier for you so you can truly enjoy that freedom of time and part of the reasons that you got in, that purpose and passion that you got into the business. So come back next week. We'll have another great guest for you, but I appreciate you joining us today, and thanks for joining us. Make it a great day. We'll see you next week.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, When you find the right solutions, your business grows, and you get your time back.